So recently on my Instagram stories, I did a little call in for voice teachers because here in America, I can't speak for every country, but here in America, things are feeling really, really intense. And so the call in on Instagram stories was essentially, hey, this is an invitation to deepen the meaning of what it means to use our voice, right? Because let's be real, like we are voice teachers. We are voice teachers, voice coaches. We literally help people find or express or, share, perform, whatever it is, their voice. And so, something that I've been thinking a lot about and sharing a lot about on my account on the whole voice is the many layers and elements of what voice means, right? And what it means to, let's say, express your voice or use your voice, right? And so we use that in the context of the realities of where we're living right now and the time that we are living right now. So I'm recording this on Tuesday, January 27th, 3 days after the murder of Alex Preddy in Minneapolis. And it's so funny because I actually had a podcast episode that went out this morning because it's Tuesday and Tuesdays are when our episodes come out. And the moment it came out this morning and when I woke up, I was like, oh, this is not the right episode for right now. This is not the right episode for right now. And actually, it kind of weirdly is because the episode's all about how we can beat AI on social media, which, hello, that's incredibly relevant. And that also just furthers the conversation about what we're having, which is that this is a really freaking crazy time to be living. This is a really freaking crazy time. Doesn't even matter where you feel on the spectrum of politics or what quote side you're on, which I just don't even feel that there are sides anymore. And I mean, if you want to put me in a side, you can put me in that side because I'm going to share with conviction in that I know that I'm on the right side of history here when I say that shit is bananas and it should not be this way, right? And it should not be this way. And there are things that we can do as a democracy, as a republic, as people, if you are living in America, or really, this is impacting so many countries across the world here, whatever the quote atrocities are, or whatever the things are that are happening in your space, this is the opportunity to use your voice. This is the opportunity to not only use your voice, let's say on a platform, right? Like that's great. And we're seeing that a lot. We're seeing, here in America, it's all about abolishing ICE. Like my feed is just filled with abolish ICE prompts and scripts and phone numbers. And like, it's amazing. And that is one of the great ways that we can use our voice. But another way that I want you to think about using your voice, and this is why I really wanted to hop on this episode to really dig into this a bit more, because I feel that when I put out a call out on, let's say, Instagram stories, and I'm like, hey, voice teachers, this is the moment. Let's go use our voices. Like, this is an opportunity to work the work. My intuitive feeling is that many of you read that and go, cool, that sounds great. Don't know how to do that. What does that mean? Right. And I've actually gotten many DMs like, this is great. What do I do? Like, or I got one recently that was, I've called my reps, but what do I do now? Right. Or another one is, I don't want to bring politics into business. I don't want to bring politics into my business. And so I get that. And I wanted to address that. I want to address that. So here's how I want us to think about it in a different way. No matter where you live and what is going on and what you feel about what is going on, we can all agree that this is a very uncomfortable time. This is a really weird time. It's a weird time to be alive. AI is just one of a bazillion examples, right? And so why don't we just talk about that? Like, let's acknowledge with each other, with our students, with our clients, with our audiences, let's just acknowledge that this is an anxiety-inducing period of life to be living in. It just is. And you look at stats across the board and we've got anxiety, through the roof. I mean, so many medications, so many people dependent on medications, anxiety medications. We have, suicide. We have mental health crises. We have so many things across the board that are pointing to this is not great. This is not great. No one's feeling real great right now. Maybe if you're a billionaire, maybe if you're really rich and you're white, right? And you have a lot of privilege, you're probably feeling great, but you probably aren't, honestly, actually. Let's be real, because this is just, it's just weird. It's a weird time. And so I want to encourage you to just use your voice around the fact that it's a weird time. I feel that one of the most healing experiences is, of course, this voice lesson, right? Singing in and of itself, but just like the lesson, like the voice lesson, the experience of having a human to human interaction with your teacher or with your student, depending on where you're at, no matter who it is, really. Like, there are so many voice lessons that I have had that I still remember. And I still remember how they made me feel, how my teacher made me feel, both for better and for worse, right? And so, on the better side, this can actually be such a beautiful healing experience for your students to come into a lesson and to have an acknowledgement, to have an awareness around what is happening. Because I think so many of us tiptoe around this, and especially if you, let's say, here in America, it's pretty black and white because we've got red states and blue states, right? And so that's kind of creates this natural division. You either live in a red or blue, maybe a swing state. And so some of you might feel like you don't feel comfortable talking about things like political issues or current realities or the times we're in or whatever you want to call it with people in your geographic area because of that division. Maybe you live, let's say, in an area that you don't agree with, right? And I know I used to live in Orange County, which is actually a very red area. Here in Colorado, I am blessed in the fact that I live in a very blue space and state. And so, and blessed in that, what I mean by when I say that, not even Democrat versus Republican, what I actually really just mean is that people in Colorado, just in general, they are very human. Like, they are very human. If you come to this state and you go on a hike or you're going on a walk or you're going to the grocery store or you're going to the bank or literally you're just living and existing in this state, people will talk to you. And they will be so friendly and they will be so loving. It's like completely different than New York. And like California is like kind of halfway there, but not really. But Colorado, holy wow. The people here are so human. And I want to even say conscious, like they're very conscious. And so I feel lucky in that I am surrounded by people who think a lot like I do, and I can speak and articulate and use my voice in a much more confident way because of my location. And I completely understand that some people don't have that, right? And at the same time, like I said before, this isn't about politics. This is not about politics. This is about acknowledging and recognizing that this is uncomfortable. This is uncomfortable. This is like a weird situation, right? Maybe your students are feeling that anxiety. Maybe they're feeling it at school. Maybe they're feeling it in their classes. Maybe they're feeling it with their parents or their siblings or their family. Maybe they're just feeling it because they're existing and they're trying to figure out what the heck they're going to do with their life, and who knows what the future holds, right? It's a weird time because we're all like, what does the future hold? Right? Economically, like so many things uncertain. So I just want to first give you the permission slip to give the space to your students and that energy of a voice lesson as a space to be honest, right? And to like be vulnerable and just really talk about, hey, how are you doing? How is this impacting you? Is this impacting you? Right? How can we use singing and our practice together to be something that is healing and an outlet and expressive and joyful for you, right? How can even practicing for an audition feel good? What do you need? What does support look like for you right now, right? And just really being there and with our students. I think that's a really, really great starting place. It's just like right from that human to human connection. And I'm really, you know, something to just kind of add on to that. I love that as business owners, we can just change our minds. We can change our minds, right? And I have a whole episode about changing your mind and the power of changing your mind. But let me give you an example of this. This evening is the very first rehearsal of my choir, my community choir for 2026. It's the first rehearsal of the new year. It's the first rehearsal of our winter season. It's very exciting. It's also our first rehearsal as a Colorado nonprofit. We are officially a registered Colorado nonprofit. And so there's just like a nice energy shift. Everything about it is very exciting. And in the process of preparing for our first class this evening, me and my team, we've been going through the handbook and the communications guide and our policies and our registration, enrollment, and all of these different things that kind of make up, how to get this season started. And I had this plan of going into my lesson being like, okay, we're going to talk about all this stuff right from the get-go. We're going to nix out all the questions. We're going to get it all going, and let's get the show on the road. Like, we're going to build the culture day one, like new standards, LFG. Let's fucking go. Yeah. So I'm thinking about this last week. Then we have this atrocious weekend here in the US. I think it was January 24th-ish. And now we're coming in 3 days later, all feeling very tender, very tender. It's just across the board. This is a very tender time. And in this tenderness, last night, it was just so clear as day. This is not the right time. This is not the right time to be digging into policy and registration and questions and, rehearsal etiquette. And, we'll do a little bit of rehearsal etiquette, of course, but this is the time to sing. This is the time to sing and bring harmony and peace and love and joy and community into our space, because heavy hearts are going to come in tonight. And I changed my mind, right? So I just changed my whole lesson plan. We'll do it next week. It's okay. And furthermore, I'm going to use this opportunity to use my voice in how I am using the voice of the choir as a way to create ripples and make an impact in our communities. And that's such a fun conversation that I will get into more, not in this, episode, but this is really the whole point of singing, you guys. This is the whole freaking point of singing, is that it is healing. It is joyful. It is primal. It is actually how we got through all of our hard times. All of our hard times. Like, I always visualize just the spirituals that Black people and African Americans slaves who were here in America were literally in the cotton fields just singing together. Like, they were singing together, right? Like, think about Les Mis. There's just so many examples. There's so many examples of how singing has been a root of getting through, right? Of moving through challenging times, of meeting the moment where we're at and healing, whatever that means for all of us. And I want you to really think about, yes, how to bring that into your studio, because we already know how important that is, and you can totally post about that. But I also want you to take this a step further, and I want you to think about how you can use your voice in the most authentic way to you that leads in the direction towards being the change, towards being part of the solution, towards being part of the collective solution. You could call this activism if you want to, but it's actually just like, where do I fit in and how can I help? How can I help? And how can I help in a way that feels authentic to me and my voice and my expression, right? And it could be small. It could be literally as small as what I said in the beginning, where you're having just this beautiful, intimate, vulnerable conversation with your students. That is so powerful. That is not powerful, right? That could be your form. It could be your form of being a part of the solution. You could be posting on your social media, right? You could be posting about how to use your voice on the phone, which is actually something I'm going to be talking a lot about. It's like, okay, I know how scary it is to call your reps. Trust me, I get it. So let's practice. Let's literally practice how to use your voice on the freaking phone when you're calling your reps. right? It sounds basic, but it's really important, and how impactful that would be for your people, right? How impactful would that be for them? Because that's the number one thing. People, like, it's not that they don't have time to call their reps, it's that they're freaking scared. They are scared to call their reps. What if someone picks up the phone? I just did my 3 phone calls earlier, and 2 out of those 3 times someone picked up the phone. And guess what? We had a conversation. And that is me using my voice. And I can encourage other people to use their voice, right? How powerful. You could do an entire voice lesson about how to do that. You could also embody that yourself, right? But this is like the ripple effect of the voice. What are other ways that you can use your voice? Oh my gosh, so many things. Well, with my choir, I'm using the voice of the choir, the voice of the mission of the choir, the vision of the choir to actually make an impact on our communities. And so not only are we doing things like a percentage of our concerts are going to go to and have been going to charitable funds in our communities, but we're also going to do outreach. We're going to be bringing our immersive concert experiences into various different places that have big audiences so that they can also experience the magic of singing and group singing. Because our experiences here at ABBN, at the choir that I run, this is all about immersive concert experiences. This is about the audience singing along. This is about meditation and singing bowls and prompts and really actually experiencing something, not just sitting there and clapping in between songs. I mean, you do that too, but there's so much more, right? And so that's part of me using my voice through this beautiful, incredible group that I've created, the ABBN voice. The ABBN voice, we're actually planning a concert that is literally the theme all about how to use your voice and how to make a change in the world. Like, y'all, the freaking ripples in this thing is just, it's bananas. And so I really want you to just sit with this thought, like, okay, where do I fit into this? What feels really good for me? What feels authentic to me? How can I use maybe my private studio, or how can I maybe use my email newsletter, or how can I maybe use my social media, or just my students, or just my songwriting, or my performances, or my whatever. Like, how can you authentically be a part of the solution? I know that this is going to be so powerful. I know how powerful that this is going to be, especially in 2026. And I literally just put out an episode all about the momentum of 2026, and damn, if this is not going to be some serious momentum. If we all contribute, if we all use our voice, if we all take this as an opportunity to further embody what it means to use our voice. Because if you are feeling uncomfortable with this stuff, great. Look at that within yourself, right? Ask yourself, what am I so afraid of? What am I afraid of? Right? Going back to those limiting beliefs, those subconscious beliefs, those patterns, those old stories, like, this is your moment to check in, my friend. This is your moment. How can you be an even bigger part of the solution and use your voice? Your voice.